Lesson 4 for October 19 through 25, Facing Opposition. Monday, October 21, Prophets Encourage. Unfortunately, the opposition that the Jews encountered from the surrounding nations, as described in Ezra chapter 4 through to chapter 6, left them afraid and unwilling to work on the temple. As mentioned before, Ezra chapter 4 verse 6 through to 6:22 is not written in chronological order. Therefore, we will look at chapter 5 before chapter 4. Question. Read Ezra chapter 5 verses 1 through 5. Why does God send the prophets Haggai and Zechariah to the Jews? What is the result of their prophesying? Ezra 5, beginning at verse 1, Then the prophet Haggai and Zechariah the son of Iddo, prophets, prophesied to the Jews who were in Judah and Jerusalem, in the name of the God of Israel, who was over them. So Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel and Jeshua the son of Jozadak rose up and began to build the house of God, which is in Jerusalem, and the prophets of God were with them, helping them. At the same time, Tattenai, the governor of the region between the river and Shether-Boznai, and their companions came to them and spoke thus to them. Who has commanded you to build this temple and finish this wall? Then, accordingly, we told them the names of the men who were constructing this building. But the eye of their God was upon the elders of the Jews, so that they could not make them cease till a report could go to Darius. Then a written answer was returned concerning this matter. The Jews had stopped building because they were afraid. But God had sent them to Judah to rebuild the temple and the city, and he had a plan. Since they were afraid, he had to do something in order to encourage them. Therefore, he called 2 prophets to step in. Human opposition doesn't stop God. Even if the Jews contributed to this opposition by their own actions, God did not abandon them. He worked through the prophets to motivate and propel them into action again. Question. Read Haggai chapter 1. What is the message for them, and what can we take away from this for ourselves? Haggai chapter 1 Verse 1, In the 2nd year of King Darius, in the 6th month, on the 1st day of the month, the word of the Lord came to Haggai the prophet to Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, the governor of Judah, and to Joshua the son of Jehozadak, the high priest, saying, Thus speaks the Lord of hosts, saying, This people says, The time has not come, the time that the Lord's house should be built. Then the word of the Lord came to Haggai the prophet, saying, Is it time for you yourselves to dwell in your panelled houses, and this temple to lie in ruins? Now therefore, thus says the Lord of hosts, Consider your ways. You have sown much, and bring in little. You eat, but do not have enough. You drink, but you are not filled with drink. You clothe yourselves, but no one is warm. And he who earns wages to put into a bag with holes. Thus says the Lord of hosts, Consider your ways. Go up to the mountains, and bring wood, and build the temple, that I may take pleasure in it and be glorified, says the Lord. You looked for much, but indeed it came to little, and when you brought it home, I blew it away. Why? Says the Lord of hosts, because of my house that is in ruins, while every one of you runs to his own house. Therefore the heavens above you withheld the dew, and the earth withheld its fruit. For I called for a drought on the land and the mountains, on the grain and the new wine and the oil, on whatever the ground brings forth, on men and livestock, and on all the labour of your hands. Then Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and Joshua the son of Jehozadak, the high priest, with all the remnant of the people, obeyed the voice of the Lord their God, and the words of Haggai the prophet, as the Lord their God had sent him. And the people feared the presence of the Lord. Then Haggai, the Lord's messenger, spoke the Lord's message to the people, saying, I am with you, says the Lord. So the Lord stirred up the spirit of Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and the spirit of Joshua, the son of Jehozadak, the high priest, and the spirit of all the remnant of the people. And they came and worked on the house of the Lord of hosts their God, on the 24th day of the 6th month, in the 2nd year of King Darius. Ellen White writes in Prophets and Kings, page 573 and 574, the prophets Haggai and Zechariah were raised up to meet the crisis. In stirring testimonies, these appointed messengers revealed to the people the cause of their troubles. The lack of temporal prosperity was the result of a neglect to put God's interests first, the prophets declared. Had the Israelites honoured God, had they shown him due respect and courtesy by making the building of his house their first work, they would have invited his presence and blessing. This week's lesson has been read by Dr. Percy Harold from Queensland, Australia. It is brought to you by Hope Channel, the Sabbath School Department, and through the services of Christian Services for the Blind. A video of this podcast also occurs on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful.